back to the Mindbender Mental Performance Podcast.
Episode 137, Pillar 7. You're going, wait a minute, I only see 37 shows on the YouTube channel. Well, do yourself a solid and go over to nofilter.net and see all the shows with all the hosts, including my dear friend, former Licey baseball great and Dominican Winter League MVP Enrique Byrones. Also has a show in there called The Daily Hustle. He also does a program with the great Will the Thrill Clark, the former San Francisco Giant great. He played on some other teams, but that's about irrelevant as Andre Dawson playing on the Montreal Expos. Of course, we all know he was a Cub, the same way we know Will the Thrill was a fucking Giant. All right, let's get into it today. We've got a short amount of time because I'm making a cameo on the Daily Hustle today, so make sure you tune into that. I'm going to be dropping some fellowship with my dear friend, Burns. Routines and habits of excellence today. Pillar number 7 as we go down in our 10-pillar mini seminar breakdown of each particular pillar. We're doing a brief, quick cliff notes on each one. Introduce the 10-pillar system, a system that which we largely use to coach the skills and drills of mental performance to help you go from little leaguer to big leaguer, from no-namer to Hall of Famer, to close the gap from where you are to where you want to be, to take your life from the clouds into the dirt where it can grow. Welcome back to the Mindbender Mental Performance Podcast. As I mentioned, the great Enrique Byrones says this is the only podcast that makes players fuerza en la cabeza. El lugar es aquí, el momento es ahora. Wherever you are, the place is here and the time is now. What's this podcast about? It's about showing up, being present, and knocking down the mental and oftentimes emotional barriers that can get in the way of consistent and confident performance. Today, we're breaking down Pillar 7, routines and habits of excellence. I'm going to be real with you, like I always am. Half the battle in elite performance is what you're doing outside the spotlight, right? I did my ball mental imagery right before I went into the game. I did a shadow about an hour before the game started. No. It's what you do in private that you're rewarded for in public. It's the daily, easy to do actions without neglect that gets you to where you want to go, that close the gap from where you are to where you want to be, that help you get the most out of your life and your baseball career. One of my favorite one of my mental performance mentors, along with Enrique Byrones, the great Josh Weitzel, the great John Gallstar, the great Troy Gloss, the great Matthew Chapman, Spencer Torkelson, and of course the birthday boy today, El Lobo, the Wolfman, Johnny, two-time champ Gomes. Brian Ichabod Kane drilled into me many years ago that 50% of peak performance happens in the little habits, the structure, and the routines that you keep every damn day. High-performing athletes, they don't wake up feeling great. It reminds me of a book by the great Dennis Prager. The book is titled Happiness is a Serious Problem. Oh, easy for that dude. He's always fired up. Maybe he's doing 15 things before he even goes outside to help quiet the demons, to help soften the hard edges, right? To help beat down the demons of procrastination, laziness, purpose-driven lies, fear, self-doubt, worry, anxiety, right? Damaging discontent, depression. We don't know. Everybody's life is marked with some sort of malevolence and darkness. So don't think easy for him. If you think it's easy for him, ask him what he's doing. These people don't leave their actions up to chance or when they feel like it. You know, we're in an era where we don't live off principle. We live off feelings. How does it make me feel? We don't live off principle. We live off pleasure. Right? They follow a routine, plain and simple. If you're winging it, that's for fucking losers. Why are routines non-negotiable? Here's the reality. Consistency is a superpower. Consistency enlarges all ability. Consistency creates momentum. It's what keeps you in the game day in and day out. When you've got a routine, you're training your mind and body to perform at its best. It's like having a game plan every day. It's building the scaffolding. Your actions are intentional. Everybody's reality is a direct result of their intention and their intention. It's not a reactive thing. How am I going to conquer the world today? Pinky in the brain style. No, 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 no. Have an idea of the framework because tomorrow starts tonight. Those who let their feelings or pleasure center decide their day will always fall short of their potential. Always. So let's look at how we build these habits of excellence. The tools of the trade, habit share, success checklist, Mindbender Mental Performance Podcast, Mental Performance Daily, The Daily Hustle, Studio 22 with the great Enrique Byrones and Will the Thrill Clark. Start with the tools that keep you accountable. Habit share is probably one of the most important things that we use. It's an application you can find on any, whether you've got a Samsung Galaxy Note or you're the person on the iPhone, great. Download Habit Share, start to throw a couple habits in there because measurement is motivation. We can't manage what we don't measure. Check into the podcast, do the success checklist. These are the kind of resources you should be plugging into every day to keep the mindset on point. What's your mindset? That's how you see yourself in the world around you. It's not about massive changes. No, no, no. So see, that's what happens. We go, well, that's the guy I know I can be, and then we freeze in terror and fear of the all too real fact of the distance between where you are and where you want to go. Right? So these are the daily inputs that help you celebrate the small wins every day because we go, today's not that important, but your dreams and goals are all just a sum of your todays. So take a look at how you're planning out your day. What does that look like? How do you plan out your weeks? Some guys like the great Enrique Byrones, he could tell you the next 30 days right off the top of his dome like he's frickin' Jay-Z writing a rhyme. Not everybody's built that way. The power of 168 planning. One of the best ways to get disciplined is through 168 planning. That's 168 hours in a week. And everyone knows those hours, every one of them is an opportunity to close the gap from where you are to where you want to be or widen the gap with your choices, with your behavior, with your actions, with your words. When you break down your time and decide in advance how you're going to use it, you stop wasting time. You know when you're training, when you're recovering, when you're working on your mental game, right? You become a machine of routine. And that's what elite performance requires. The ability to stay neutral, the ability to wake up every day, beat down the demons, and push the rock up the hill. How does it start? It starts with an AM and a PM routine. Starting and ending the day strong. A strong day starts and ends with routines. The AM routine gets you centered, focused, and ready to take on the day. We say this all the time. If you work with me, you know we're stacking days. We're stacking days. Reverse engineer the goal. And it comes back down to, I want to play Division I college baseball at Vanderbilt. I want to play D1 at Notre Dame. I want to play D1 at Oregon State. I want to play at Ole Miss. I want to play at Stanford. Yeah? Well, that starts today. Reverse engineer it and go back to what do you need to do today to lock in to close the gap. Then there's your PM routine, which is just as important. Just as important. Well, I do the AM, but I haven't been able to get to the PM. This is where you shut down, reflect, refocus, and set yourself up for a solid night's rest. Guys who get these routines right, they have an edge. They're not dragging themselves through the day. They're not getting picked off on a base because they slept 4 hours the night before, right? Some guys I know, right? They might have had a third testicle attached at birth, which gives them the ability to sleep only an hour and a half to 2.5 hours a night and be full send. Not everybody's built that way. We're aiming for 9.5 hours, time in bed, 8.5 hours, time asleep. HRV scores a specifically individual number, so that we'd have to break down together. Identify the behaviors, the daily actions that close the gap. What is the 4-step goal setting formula? I'm glad you asked. I've got a really great question here in the chat. Set the intention. What do you want? Then schedule it. When are you going to do it? Then you measure it. There is no motivation without measurement. Measurement is motivation, and we can't manage what we don't measure. We want to measure our behavior execution. How do we do that? We talked about it. Success checklist. So we set the intention, we schedule it, we measure it, right? Then we reflect and refocus. The reflect and refocus is our well, better, how. What am I doing well? What can I be doing better? How am I going to do it? Now we can refine and update our behavior. It's our behaviors that determine what we achieve. So let's talk about the hourglass approach. Everything is an hourglass. You have in-game routine, you have pre-game routines, in-game routines, post-game routines. You have AM routine, you have your school work block training routine, PM routine, hourglasses. We're going in, going out. We're preparing, we're performing, we're reflecting. Prepare, perform, reflect. Rinse and repeat. Right? You start broad at the top, getting into your pregame routine, getting in your AM routine. Then as game time approaches, you narrow the focus. By the time you're stepping onto the field, you're laser focused, right? And what all these routines do is reduce decision fatigue. Reduce the amount of decisions that you have to make by creating routines and habits of excellence where you're almost automating the things that you do on a daily basis. You're putting them into a calendar because the most elite guys, they live off a calendar, not off a to-do list or what's floating around in their head. This structure keeps your mind from getting scattered and reduces decision fatigue. After the game, you open up again, debrief, well, better, how, shower well, separate who you are from what you do, and lock back in. Let's talk about the habit loop. There's trigger, routine, reward. Here's the big one. This is how habits are formed. Trigger, routine, reward. Something triggers your routine, you perform the routine, and you get the reward, right? It's almost like I was talking about this other day to the great young Gohard Levi Wolf. Price and promise. Oftentimes, we don't know what the promise is. And mental performance coaching is hard to quantify. You can go to the gym, you can go hit, you can immediately see those results. In this game, it's a little bit different, right? You have to know, here's the promise, that you will become a better person. Better people make better players. That personal development comes before professional development. That's the promise, and it will work if you work it. You get out what you put in. Once you know what the promise is, anybody's willing to pay the price. So, understanding this loop is key because it allows you to build and break habits that aren't serving you intentionally. For example, if you want to build a habit of meditation, set a trigger. Maybe it's right after you brush your teeth, you do the routine, you do your meditation. And the reward is a calmer, more focused mind. Price and promise. Then we have BMAP. B equals map. Behavior equals motivation plus ability plus prompt. Here's another formula, right? Behavior equals motivation plus ability plus prompt. What this means is that every behavior happens when you've got the motivation, the ability, and the right prompt. You want to build a habit? Start small so your ability matches your motivation and use prompts to remind yourself. This formula lets build habits that actually stick rather than trying to overhaul your whole life overnight, right? Well, I'm going to eat better. I'm going to move it. Just take the next best step. I'm going to cut out everything. I go, no. Just keep eating the exact same way you are. But let's mix in one huge, colorful salad every week. And let's start there. And if you can do that for 7 days, let's start talking about getting some of the junk out of the house. So what is the skill of routines and habits of excellence? Routines and habits of excellence are all about setting yourself up for success day after day. It's about creating the structure you need to get better no matter how you're feeling. Feel ain't real. Oftentimes your feelings that you think they're facts, but they're not. You're not leaving things up to chance. These routines train your mind and your body to be peak, to be locked in, to be clear, to be focused. With solid habits, you're not wasting energy deciding what to do. You're in automatic mode, locked in and ready. Let's talk about some of the myths and mistakes in routines and habits. One of the biggest, that routines make you rigid or kill your creativity, right? Nah, I'm just flowing with it, man. How's that working out for you? Right? Wrong. Routines actually free you up to perform at your best. Another mistake is thinking you need a perfect routine before you start. No. It's the start that stops most people. So just start small. Pick 1 or 2 key habits, build them up, then add more. See, oftentimes we think it's about addition. It's not. Often growth is about subtraction. The other myth is that if you miss today, you've blown it. That's bullshit. If you slip, reset, and get back on track. Perfection isn't the goal. Consistency and presence is the goal. Process is the goal. We talked about the hourglass drill. It's all about structuring your focus before, during, and after competition. Start broad with a routine that gets you warmed up and prepared. Narrow the focus from there. Drill 2, flipping the switch. Flip the switch, right? Flipping the switch is about mentally switching gears when you start your routine, right? When you wake up, you flip the switch into work mode. When you go to practice, you flip the switch into training mode, because practice is where the action is and separation's in the preparation. This drill helps you quickly get focused and locked in no matter where you are. We talked about the habit loop, right? The drill focusing on building the habit loop. Pick a habit you want to create, identify the trigger, establish a routine, and give yourself a reward. Whether it's meditation, visualization, pregame routine, AM, PM routines, this habit loop keeps you on track. We talked about BMAP, behavior equaling motivation plus ability plus prompt. And let's talk about AM and PM routines. Your AM and PM routines are your anchors. In the morning, your routine should set you up with energy and focus. At night, it should be about winding down, reflecting, refocusing, well, better how, and getting ready for the next day. Tomorrow starts tonight. Create simple, repeatable steps that become a part of your everyday. Let's talk about competition routines. Your competition routines are what keep you calm and in control. These routines should cover everything from when you show up to the yard, how you warm up, how you break down the game plan, to how you're going to shower and focusing your mind and body, after how you're going to shower after the game, because you got to shower well. We got to shower well in this game, and we got to separate who and do. Focusing your mind and body for peak performance. Develop the steps and stick to them every single day. Drill 7, we have if the blank, then blank intentions. This drill is all about creating backup plans. For example, if I wake up and have my morning mineral cocktail, then I'm going to go stand in the cool grass and get some grounding. If I stand in the cool grass and get my grounding, I'm going to go in and I'm going to immediately sit down and do my AM journal. If I do my AM journal, having done everything else throughout at the first part of my day, then I'm going to go have a great training session. If I have a great training session, then I'm going to get done and have a great high quality meal that's going to allow me to have more clarity in my brain, have more sustained energy, right? So if blank, then blank. These intentions prepare you to handle adversity, and they build momentum and keep you on track on the day-to-day, easy to do action items that build a great day. So that's pillar 7, routines and habits of excellence. The bottom line, routines keep you consistent, and consistency is a superpower. They keep you disciplined and in control of what you can control and influence, and not about what you cannot control. This is the structure that helps you reach your potential no matter what the day throws at you. Next up, we're going to dive into pillar number 8, time management and organization. You got the routines down, but time management and organizations are what keep your game tight and focused. We'll break down how to maximize every hour, prioritize like a pro, and build a schedule that supports your goals. So tune in next time and learn how to manage your time and energy like a champ. Para mis jugadores latinos, más línea, más vida. Hasta la próxima, recuerda. Si quieres ser un jugador disciplinado, comprometido y preparado en el futuro, empiezas esa mierda hoy. Se necesita lo que se necesita y lo mejor está por venir. Until next time, remember, if you want to be a disciplined, committed, and prepared ball player in the future, you start that shit today. It takes what it takes, and the best is yet to come.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.